Hey everybody, and welcome to Tech Tuesday. I'm Rick Husey. I'll be right back. Thanks for joining me for Tech Tuesday. Today I'm going to be talking about some of the latest news with streaming. This is related to broadband, but also specifically to some streaming news that's out there. So why don't we get right to that? Got a lot to cover. So this was a big story. So AT&T has been trying to get rid of DirecTV, and this does relate to streaming, even though DirecTV obviously is a traditional pay TV provider. But AT&T has been confused for years about their video play and are trying to sort all of that out. So everybody knows that they've been trying to get rid of DirecTV, or at least do something to minimize the impact of that on their business. So AT&T, it says, is to spin off their DirecTV pay TV units with TPG, and they're going to form this new company. So AT&T said it's reached an agreement with the investment company TPG to spin off its pay TV assets, DirecTV, AT&T TV, and Uverse into a new company. So, they've got these three video plays that they've been doing. They started with Uverse way back when, which was their traditional pay TV product that they were providing over their fiber service. And then they came out and actually had DirecTV Now for a while, which was the content you could get over DirecTV via satellite, but then they were doing that via a streaming service. And then they kind of merged that and switched that into AT&T TV not too long ago. But now they're putting all of those things under one umbrella in this new company that they've spun off. AT&T bought DirecTV in 2015 for $49 billion. The new deal reportedly values the pay TV assets at $15 billion. So a lot of people say this was one of the worst deals ever made. And so this is not just DirecTV that I guess they're valuing at that amount, but this is DirecTV, AT&T TV, and Uverse. That all is valued at $15 billion. So AT&T is going to own 70% of this new company, then TPG will own 30%. As part of that deal, $7.8 billion in cash and the assumption of debt, TPG is going to take that on, and then $1.8 billion in cash, TPG will contribute that to the new company. So this is going to help AT&T. A lot of people are wondering why they're doing this. It is going to help them in that they'll get some cash out of this deal. I think more importantly, they can get some of the debt out of their company right now, because that DirecTV's been losing subscribers and losing money year after year after year. So that's a big reason that they did this. Another reason that people are speculating is that they're anticipating that there's going to be at some point a merger between DirecTV and Dish TV, because you've got these two satellite companies out there that have both been losing a lot of subscribers. And it would make sense in the future, rather than have this redundancy of satellite providers providing satellite TV, to have those two companies merge, which will that will lengthen, I guess it will lengthen the amount of time that they can stay alive. Right now, neither one of those seem to be very viable in the long term, but that would help them if they merge, maybe consolidate and get some synergies through some of that. So that's what they see that as being a primary driver. So they can get the debt off of their books. They don't need to talk about DirecTV when they're reporting their other earnings. And if there ever is this merger, then AT&T will get 70% of that amount. So they still will have their hand in that and get whatever revenue comes out of that merger. So that's some big news there. A big portion of this, it's really interesting that they're calling this, it doesn't say it here, I don't think, maybe it does and I didn't highlight it, but the new company is going to be called New DirecTV. So you'd think if they're trying to shed this thing, they wouldn't name the new company New DirecTV. In fact, again, they had DirecTV Now, which then they got rid of that name and they renamed it AT&T TV, and now they're going back to DirecTV with the New DirecTV kind of brand. So it doesn't make any sense to me. But this, this will encompass all of those particular video companies, which would be Uverse, AT&T TV, which is a streaming service, and then DirecTV, which is a satellite service. So more news. This is related to streaming TV. So T-Mobile comes to the rescue of MobiTV. MobiTV has announced that they're going to be going through bankruptcy, which was really kind of a surprise. They've lost $34 million in 2020, so you can see why they're having to do that. And people were speculating. They got a $15.5 million loan, or they announced they were getting this loan to stay in business, to keep the lights on, and to pay people and to maintain all of their infrastructure. And people were wondering who was investing in that. A lot of people said it was maybe T-Mobile, who's their biggest customer, and it turns out that it is. So it turns out that the $15.5 million loan they're receiving does come from its biggest customer, T-Mobile. It says 2020, a year in which it generated approximately $13.5 million in revenue, but incurred an operating loss of about $34 million. So they were bleeding pretty bad there. MobiTV's losses were only partially offset by $3 million in the PPP program, loans for paycheck protection related to COVID. So they did get some money from that, but only partially offset. It says MobiTV designs and sells technology, some of it cloud-based, that allows pay TV operators to transition to app-based video platforms. T-Mobile is using MobiTV's tech in TVision, which is T-Mobile's streaming service, the virtual pay TV service that launched in November. So MobiTV, they have two ways that you can get their service. One is if you can put all the equipment together, and then you can use their platform to be able to then deliver a streaming service and have lots of different features for your customers over that streaming service. Or you can use their cloud-based solution, where you don't need to put in a lot of that infrastructure, and you can use them. That's also being used by Sparklight TV, which is a new app-based video platform being developed by Cable One. So they have a few big customers that are using them, and then they've got smaller ones. Mentioned C Spire, Windstream, Bass Broadband, and MCTV, as well as the NCTC, so National Cable TV Co-op, and MobiTV. Back 2-3 years ago, they struck a deal where NCTC provides deals for their membership. So how many does it say? 125. No, what is it? NCTC, lost track of that. Anyway, so can't find the number of NCTC folks. But NCTC, they're a cooperative for cable companies and telephone companies. Anybody that's providing broadband internet and video tend to be members of them if they're smaller, and they can get programming through NCTC. And then also NCTC struck this deal with MobiTV where they could get the MobiTV service through that. Oh, here it is, 150 small cable operators. It wasn't highlighted. So 150 small cable operators through NCTC. So these are some larger and smaller companies that are getting this, and so it was kind of surprising that they're losing so much money. They owe $4 million to cloud computing company Rackspace. So Rackspace is who they would host a lot of this equipment for the cloud-based services that they're providing. That's quite a bit of money that they owe. $3 million to a bank and $2.9 million to a patent for an MPEG, like I said, MPEG patent pool. Founded in 1999, MobiTV's raised more than $213 million through numerous VC funding rounds. So they're still private. They've raised a lot of money, but they're still bleeding a lot of money too. They say its Chapter 11 filing does not mean the company is going out of business. So how does a tech company with 125 customers, some of them really big, end up so short of cash? And it says the devil may be in how MobiTV structures its contracts. The company derives its revenue from contracts with subscription television customers, T-Mobile, and certain broadband and cellular service providers who utilize the company's IPTV application. Well, that's basically what they do, right? So there's nothing wrong with recurring revenue. I mean, that's actually a good business model, but the word is that what they did, which is not smart, is they did not have any minimums in place. So if they signed up a customer, one of these smaller operators or even a bigger operator, and they said, we want to use your infrastructure, and they sign up for that deal, they didn't have any minimums in place. So you might sign an operator that's got 10,000, 50,000, 100,000 subscribers, and they say they want to use your service. So you have to get your infrastructure prepared for that. But if you don't have any minimums, there's nothing forcing that subscriber to actually use your service. And in fact, what probably happens in a lot of cases is maybe some of these traditional pay TV providers, they want to have an option for their customers. It's like, you can continue on our cable TV service, and then we're going to provide you this IPTV service as an option, maybe a little bit less money, maybe the same money, but you get some additional features. And they don't force people off of that. So they're not necessarily, all of them, shutting down their QAM-based cable TV and moving them over to the IPTV. So probably what happens is they sign up customers and they don't get all the subscribers that they expect. And minimums would have protected them from that. So that is possibly what's going on there with their subscription model, where they would have made a mistake there. So MobiTV still in business, but going through a bankruptcy, and they say that bankruptcy is probably in preparation to maybe sell off that business. So it may be under a new ownership at some point. OTT revenues to hit $94 billion in 2026 per this research, and that would be almost double the revenue generated in 2020. So that's quite a big increase. A lot of that could be pandemic related, as well as related to just some of the introduction of new streaming platforms that have come out in the last year. Those two things working together to create that big increase. In 2020, SVOD, that's subscription video on demand, accounted for $32.5 billion in North America's total over-the-top TV revenue. For 2021, that number is expected to increase to $40 billion. By 2026, it's estimated to be generating $54.39 billion. So OTT, streaming, specifically subscription video on demand, that would be like Netflix, Disney Plus, those kinds of options, where you pay for a subscription and then you are looking at that content on demand, not live content, for example. However, the largest OTT growth sector will be AVOD, that's ad-based video on demand. 2020 revenue was $10.69 billion. That'll jump nearly $3 billion according to this research in 2021, and projections for that to skyrocket to $32 billion, $32.6 billion by 2026. So you can see here, OTT still has SVOD, subscription video on demand, like Netflix. Still a very large segment of that. And then you've got rental, you've got AVOD down here. So this is your ad-based video on demand. That would be services like Tubi TV, and then Crackle for movies would be really strictly ad-based video on demand, where you don't have to pay anything. Then there are hybrid models, which we'll talk about here in a minute on some of these other providers, where you have two options. You can pay a subscription fee that's higher if you get no ads, and then a little bit lower subscription fee if you're willing to accept some ads in that content. So that's kind of a hybrid model there. But I think part of the reason that you're going to be seeing an increase on this AVOD, the ad-based, is because people are just getting subscription fatigue as more and more of these streaming services come out, and people are like, well, I can't really afford to add something else. So they're looking for content that's free, trying to keep their bills low, because that was the whole reason maybe for some of these folks to cut the cord, was that they were trying to get off a pay TV service that was very expensive. Maybe they got YouTube TV to begin with at $40, $45, whatever it was. Now it's $65. Same with Hulu. Hulu is now $65. So people are looking for less expensive options, some of them. Some are not, which we'll see here in a couple of stories down, is that some people will have lots of streaming services plus pay TV. But I think that's driving probably the AVOD growth. Cord cutting still nearly double for the big 4 US pay TV providers over 2018. So people continue to cut the cord even with the pandemic. A lot of people have added broadband that didn't have it, wired broadband, and that has probably helped reduce the amount of losses of video subscribers that some of these companies have had. So they've been adding broadband subscribers, and they probably have lost fewer video subscribers because of the pandemic. Comcast, AT&T, Charter, and Dish collectively lost around 5.1 million customers in 2020, still more than double what they bled in 2018. So 2018, was bad, but basically this is double of that. It hasn't changed much over the last year, and that's again probably because of the pandemic. So if you look here, with the exception of AT&T, so if you look here, you see Comcast. This is how they've trended, and where they've lost, and you've got AT&T right here, kind of the biggest, and then these others again are fairly flat. And actually, Charter had an increase, small increase in video subscribers. Cord cutting for bundled pay TV services in the U.S. is now a widely accepted fact, with cable companies largely emphasizing broadband connectivity and media companies having mostly moved onto prioritizing direct-to-consumer streaming. So you've got those two things working together. You've got your broadband cable operators, your telephone companies, thinking more like they are, I don't want to say a dumb pipe, but thinking that maybe we just need to provide an internet connection and not worry so much about the video business, because the internet business is a lot more profitable for them, as the content is very expensive, the subscription rates or the retransmission rates going up, those kinds of things. So That's working there, as well as, again, these streaming companies going direct to consumer, so people don't necessarily need to have a pay TV option anymore. They can get content from various streamers. Now, of course, again, you've got that subscription fatigue as you add more and more of these direct to consumer options, and that's why people are, I think, maintaining their pay TV service, and then also they are looking at these ad-based video on demand solutions. Charter Spectrum TV service actually gained 56,000 subscribers in 2020 amid a massive expansion of the cable company's high-speed internet customer base. So as they did add a huge number of broadband customers, they got a certain number of video customers out of that as well. But combined, the big four operators lost $5.625 million in 2019. In 2020, they lost $5.139 million, so a little bit less in 2020, probably because of the pandemic. Comcast, however, saw its rate of attrition nearly double from 732,000 in 2019 to 1.4 million in 2020. So they lost quite a bit there. And here's more on cord cutting. So the state of streaming services 2021 outlook, Q1. Cordcutting.com's Q1 report reveals that cord havers spend an average of $45 per month on streaming, a figure that's on par with streaming spending by cord cutters. So you've got cord havers, you've got those people that have a cord, you've got cord cutters, people that have cut the cord, then you've got cord nevers, people that never had a cord. Those would tend to be your maybe college students. They had a cord when they were living at home with their parents, but they move out and they never, college students and those that have graduated from college and never bothered getting a wired video connection of any kind. So they're looking at those three groups, and this is what's interesting is that you don't see streaming as being a complete replacement for pay TV. As prices rise and choices multiply, are cord cutters still saving money? Our Q1 report suggests that they are, but for a surprising reason. Streaming services are not broadly functioning as cable replacements. Cable and satellite customers, so-called cord havers, are subscribing to streaming services too. And that is true, that people that have pay TV also will subscribe to Netflix and Hulu, not necessarily Hulu, but Disney Plus and those kinds of things. Some of the key findings: cable and satellite customers subscribe to an average of 4.4 streaming services, which is even greater than the 4.1 average for cord cutters. So people that are cutting the cord actually are not subscribing to as many streaming services as people that still have it. Cord havers spend on average $45 a month on streaming, which is greater than the $37 a month spent by cord cutters. So again, those with a cord are spending more on streaming. But cord cutting is still about saving money. What was your primary reason to cut the cord? And it was to save money. 88.5% said yes. 11.5% said no. So maybe some other factors like more interesting things to watch. I don't know. Do you believe you are saving money compared to if you continued with traditional TV services? And 83% said yes. 39% reported a pay TV bill of more than $100 per month. A clear majority of cable and satellite customers reported paying more than $80 per month. So there's some people that are paying a lot for that. You can see here you've got more than $100 per month. You've got your 39% here. This is 80. Let's see, this is $80 to $100. This is $60 to $80. So you can see the various amounts. And then this here is your $40 to $60. So, and then down here you've got 7.8% that are paying less than $40. So that's your very basic cable TV tier probably. Cable's high prices make cord cutting an appealing idea, but streaming services too can cost consumers. Long gone are the days of one small Netflix bill. Modern streamers can expect to juggle multiple services, some of which have grown quite expensive, and that's true. As you get more and more of these streaming services, and you feel like, sometimes if you want to stay up with what's going on, it used to be that if you had just your traditional pay TV account and there was some interesting program that everybody was talking about, there was a lot of buzz about, well, you could just go watch it. I mean, it might be something on, maybe you'd have to subscribe to a premium channel, if it was something on HBO or Showtime. But if it was on a regular channel that you would get on like a basic or advanced basic kind of tier, then you could chat about that as well. But now it might be something on Amazon Prime, or it could be on Netflix, or it could be on Disney Plus, and you got to subscribe to that if you want to stay up with what's going on. So that's where that subscription fatigue comes in, and that content is driving people to get these services. Most people let's see, here it says, well, actually not most, so 38.6% say they feel like they're spending too much on their current subscription. Actually, is most people feel like they're spending the right amount on their current subscription. That's what I was thinking. And then 5.1% expect to pay more in subscription services in the future. So they may be looking out and saying, well, there's this new service coming out. I don't know when this came out, but it might have been before Discovery Plus came out, and now you've got Paramount Plus coming out this week with some proprietary content, and people are again looking at that as maybe, I need to get that new channel because I want to be watching some of the content on there. And then this is the biggest takeaway. Streaming is not just a cable replacement. So we found no meaningful correlation between cord cutting and subscription rates to the major on-demand streaming services, including Netflix, Hulu, the on-demand version, Amazon Prime Video, and Disney+. Nor did they find that cord cutters had a larger total number of subscriptions. In fact, the study revealed that cord cutters were likely to have fewer, just by a little bit, but fewer. It may have something to do with the relative income level and ages of cord cutters and cord havers. That price-sensitive behavior appears to play out in their behavior as streaming consumers. So what they're saying there is, and this makes sense, is that people who are older, who are used to pay TV, still, I'm thinking of myself. So I've had pay TV my whole life. So it's hard to cut that cord when you've got the guide and you can channel surf and that kind of thing. And we've just added streaming on top of that. And being older folks have more disposable income, where again, you've got a lot of your cord cutters are younger folks that either never had pay TV or they had it in the home when the parents were paying for it, and they've not, they don't have the disposable income now, so they don't see as much a need for it, at least yet. So they're very sensitive to prices because of the fact that they don't have as much disposable income, so therefore they also have fewer streaming services maybe than a older person who has both the cord with pay TV and is getting all of these streaming services as well. And we've added them over time. The first one we got was Netflix, and then kids, Disney had to get Disney Plus, and we get HBO Max because I've got DirecTV, that's my pay TV service, and just ordered for Valentine's Day, got my wife Discovery Plus because she loves the channels there, Food Network and HGTV and those kinds of things. Maybe I'll watch some BattleBots on there just to balance it out. So now we've got 4 streaming services, and that doesn't count some free ones that you get every now and then when you buy a device of some kind. So we'll see how it goes. And here's a new one that's coming out. Paramount Plus sets the price for ad-free premium and ad-supported base tiers. So again, this is one like Discovery Plus that has both a ad-free and then a premium or the premium with ad-free, and then one that is a little bit less expensive where you are willing to watch ads. So this is the old CBS All Access. They are launching it in a couple of days, March 4th. Viacom CBS said the premium form of Paramount Plus, set to launch March 4th, will cost $9.99 per month. That's not cheap. The base tier of Paramount Plus, to launch sometime in June, will have advertising and will cost $4.99 a month. So for $4.99 a month, you still are having to watch ads. And again, the CBS All Access, this is basically replacing that, and that never went anywhere, that one. So I don't know if rebranding this name will make much difference. So this is basically the only difference price-wise, is this is going to be $1 less than what the ad-supported version of CBS All Access goes for today. So that's currently $1 more. Viacom CBS is forecasting 65 million to 75 million subs globally for Paramount Plus by 2024. That's pretty aggressive with this particular service, I think. It all depends on the content. So Paramount will debut with 30,000 TV shows and about 2,500 movies, along with plans to introduce 36 original series in 2021, but that's going to include a mix of some reboots, prequels, and remakes. So you've got things like Star Trek, Strange New Worlds. So again, if you've got a Star Trek fan out there, they've got to have their Star Trek, then maybe they would subscribe to this. Star Trek Prodigy, an animated show for children and Star Trek, I don't know. A revival of Frasier, it's interesting. And Halo, a show based on the computer game, is billed as a defining show for the new streaming service. So this is the kind of thing where if they come out with something like this Halo that suddenly lots of gamers think, oh, this is really cool, then the gamers are going to want to sign up for this. So that's the kind of thing that could drive people signing up. It could be like Stranger Things with Netflix. Again, you've got these shows that are generating a lot of buzz that then people want to go on and watch. a selection of new Paramount movies on the Paramount Plus streaming service within 30 to 45 days of the theatrical release. So that's a benefit for them, is that they've got the Paramount movies, and they can release the movies on this streaming service sooner. Now it says here not anywhere near the simultaneous home theatrical window of Warner Media that they're using for 2021 for their movie slate. And that's talking about HBO Max. So, and they've said that that's only for this pandemic year. So with HBO Max, if you get that, then the same time that a Warner Media movie comes out, like Wonder Woman 1984, that came out in the movie theaters at the same time as it came out on HBO Max. And they're doing that with all of the theatrical releases that they're doing this year. I just watched, and again, I get that free with AT&T. So I just watched The Little Things with Denzel Washington the other night, and I think now out is the new Tom and Jerry movie, and they've got some other things coming out. The Matrix 4 is coming out at the end of this year. So HBO Max is doing that, and Paramount's doing something similar, but not same day. They're doing 30 to 45 days after the theatrical release. Speaking of Discovery Plus, they now top 11 million paid streaming subscribers, so that happened in a hurry. And, you know, again, I think part of it is they've just got really good content, especially in a pandemic. So they've got HDTV, Home and Garden TV, they've got the Food Network, so they've got a lot of content that's not political. People, I think, we're getting in a political year, we're getting just overwhelmed with the politics and with politically correct kinds of things. And you know, you can watch HGTV and just watch people look at nice houses and cook good food and not have to think about that. So they're on pace to hit 12 million subscribers by the end of February. And this was before their Valentine's Day special. So they had a Valentine's Day special, and that's when I got it, was where you could get a year for a certain price as a Valentine's gift. So I'm sure that did well as well. And they really advertise this well. It helps because they've got they've got all of these channels, the Food Network and Discovery and whatnot. And you'd see the ads at the bottom about Discovery Plus coming and what was coming on there. Then they'd run ads about some of the content that you could only get on the streaming service. So they really hit that hard. I think it's part of the reason that they did well. So they cost $4.99 per month with ads, or only $6.99 without ads. So that's $3 cheaper than Paramount Plus without ads. That seems like that makes more sense to me. Overall, Discovery Plus features more than 55,000 episodes from more than 2,500 series across Discovery's vast swath of networks, including HGTV, Food Network, TLC, ID, OWN, Travel Channel, Discovery Channel, and Animal Planet. So they've got quite a few assets there. This person noted that paying subs is key because ahead of Discovery Plus's January launch, the company partnered with Verizon to give its 55 million customers up to a year free of Discovery Plus. So they're saying they're not counting, obviously, 55 million subscribers. I don't think they're counting that in the 11 million that they're claiming. I don't think, is the way this reads. Disney made a similar move, similar deal with the phone carrier when it launched Disney Plus a year ago. So Disney Plus, when they launched, they did something similar where you could get a year free of that. And that does help boost subscriber numbers. But again, I don't know if they're counting that in the 11 million. In other words, if some percentage of those 55 million signed up, are they counting those as paid? I don't think so. Paying subs is key. Yeah, maybe it is. I don't know. Can't tell from this. Disney Plus hits 95 million subscribers. So Disney Plus is already up to 95 million. That's far exceeding what originally was forecasted. This is kind of small here. Pandemic-stricken Disney posted a surprise. I'm going to read it over here. It's too small. A surprise first quarter profit Thursday, boosted by strength at streaming service Disney Plus, which added more than 21 million new subscribers. So you can imagine Disney. The parks are open. I don't think Disneyland in California has been open very long, if it's open. I think it's open now. I don't know, but I know Disney World has been open. They've got far fewer people there. They've got not having as many people in the parks. They got people spaced out, that kind of thing. And cruise lines, you've got Disney Cruises, which was a big part of their business. Those have been closed down. So you can imagine the money that they're losing. But apparently they did okay just by virtue of the fact that they've got Disney Plus here. Also movie theaters and movies, they're losing some of that revenue. So Disney said that overall it amassed nearly 95 million Disney Plus subscribers by the end of January 2nd, compared with just under 74 million subscribers at the end of the fourth quarter. So they're continuing to add subs. It's because of things like Soul and The Mandalorian. So again, this is content that people want to watch. Soul was a Pixar movie that would have been out in the theaters. Probably did come out in the theaters, but I mean, primarily, I can't remember if it did or not, but primarily people were watching it online through Disney Plus. Then you've got The Mandalorian, which is content that you can only get on Disney Plus, the Star Wars series. Then you've got Marvel series coming out. You've got WandaVision right now on Disney Plus. So again, there's a lot of content there that they have. They have a great brand, and they've got lots of different assets that they can leverage to get people onto their platform. In its short lifespan, Disney Plus has exceeded the company's initial subscriber goal of 60 million to 90 million by 2024. Now it expects Disney Plus to have 230 million to 260 million subscribers by 2024. So they're starting to rival Netflix. Netflix still has a big lead, but they're starting to make some inroads there. Disney continues its focus on the streaming service as it plans for around 100 film and television projects, of which 80% are set up to go directly to Disney Plus. This includes nearly a dozen Marvel series and more than 10 Star Wars shows. So again, you've got Mandalorian, Star Wars show, you've got WandaVision, a Marvel series, and they're planning on doing more of those to get people to, who are into the Marvel universe and into the Star Wars thing to come watch Disney Plus. And again, speaking of that, and then kind of challenging now Netflix in some areas, they now have established a presence on Nielsen's weekly SVOD rankings with WandaVision. So that's this series I was just talking about. Netflix still dominates, but you look at the numbers here. That's hard to see, but so you've got Netflix normally would have every one of these, top 10, but here you've got Disney Plus with WandaVision came in at 6, and The Mandalorian came in at 10, and that's a drop down for Mandalorian a little bit. So Disney Plus is starting to make some inroads again due to the content. Content is king. That's one of the reasons that Netflix does so well, is lots and lots of content. 69% of the U.S. watch the Super Bowl on a smart TV. Now that's speaking of a smart TV and not necessarily online, so we'll see the numbers break down here. And again, I'm going to look over to my left because this is really small. Survey from Engine Insights has found that 69% of Americans watch Super Bowl or the Super Bowl on a smart TV on February 7th. Some 40% of them watching via Samsung TV, 21% on LG devices. That would have been me, LG. 11% on Vizio and only 8% on Sony. That's interesting that Sony's so low. Over half, 53%, watched on their local CBS affiliate. That again would have been me on my CBS affiliate with my LG TV. Via their cable satellite subscription. That would have been me on my satellite TV. Whilst, this must be from the UK, whilst 32% watched via an over-the-air TV antenna. Really, 32%. And 14% streamed via CBS All Access or CBS Sports. So the majority obviously watched in a traditional way. I'm surprised at the number that watched via over an antenna. That's very surprising. But some of that may be cord cutters because again, cord cutters will get they'll get Netflix, they'll get some other products that don't have any local TV, and then they'll put an antenna up on the roof. So I guess there's more people doing that than I realized. Those who use CBS All Access complained that the stream was a minute behind the live broadcast and was slow to buffer. A minute behind's that's not too bad. I would expect it to be at least 15 to 30 seconds. So they're saying it was a minute behind. The buffering's no fun. So if you're watching the game and it's buffering, that's not fun. So obviously that's not good. And again, CBS All Access, that is what Paramount Plus is becoming. So hopefully they'll fix some of those things. And then lastly, kind of related, Parks Associates said 55% of pay TV households say live TV sports or live sports is key to keeping the service. So this has been driving a lot of people to keep, not driving them necessarily, but having them maintain their pay TV service, because when people like sports, that's one of the best ways that you can do it, obviously, is just go to your pay TV service and get your different sports channels. Live sports remains a key driver in pay TV subscribers' love for football, basketball, baseball, and ice hockey. It outweighs dropping the more expensive home entertainment distribution channel with over-the-top videos. So people who love sports, you can get it all, pretty much everything you want on these various channels. You can see here, as far as what people rate it. So this percentage is rating it very important, important, and then neutral. So this section here, I guess, is neutral to very important. Then you've got not important right here. For me, it would actually be not important. I'm not a big, huge TV sports fan, but it is nice when there's a big game on to be able to tune that in. So I'm not the kind of guy that will spend lots of hours watching sports on TV, but when there's a big game on, whether it's the Super Bowl or if it's a local sports team that's doing pretty well, I am a fair weather fan. So if the local sports team is doing well, I may tune in to watch that as well. So that's what's going on in the world of streaming TV. It's amazing, as I've been kind of following news stories in broadband over time, how this has really become more and more related to the stories that I'm seeing. There's lots about streaming TV as more and more streaming services are coming out, more people cutting the cord. But there are still those options for pay TV. You know, we've got a product that we offer through Southern FiberNet. It's a IPTV product that cable operators can get into the business without having to get the content. We provide the content. There's very little equipment that they need in their head end. And we see that, and we're getting a lot of interest in that. We see that as a real future kind of thing, believe it or not. It's funny, whatever is old becomes new again. So as we're seeing, again, all these streaming services coming out, we're also seeing people either wanting to maintain their pay TV or going to virtual pay TV services like a YouTube TV or a Hulu TV or the Southern FiberNet product, where they want the guide and they want the ability to channel surf because they're getting fatigue from having lots of different subscriptions. So they still will maintain a pay TV service, and then they will get some subscription services on top of that. So we're seeing that really as more of the trend. Even though people are cutting the cord, cable operators are starting to look for how they can offer an IPTV product to their customers, because again, they don't want to be a dumb pipe. They don't want to be just a broadband provider. They want to be able to provide services themselves over that, like an IPTV service or like a voice over IP kinds of service. So we're seeing those as important trends. Even though people are kind of cutting the traditional pay TV cord, they still are interested in some aggregation of content, which is another reason why you're seeing some of that ad-based video on demand. So people are willing to pay a little bit to get stuff aggregated and not have to pay for lots of different apps that they then have to navigate. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. Give me a thumbs up if you did, and click the subscribe button. And subscribe. When you do that, click the bell, and you'll be notified anytime we're live. I am live every Tuesday at 3 o'clock for Tech Tuesday. So I will see you next week, and you have a great week. Bye-bye.